What's going on, you guys? TBR here, and in today's video we are going to be breaking down the latest in-game update to be added into the King of Fighters All-Star. We're going to be talking about the 20 million global download celebration special summon banner, as well as the various in-game events that were added along with this update. We're also going to be breaking down the in-game packages and so much more. But before we do all that, make sure if you guys are new here to the channel and you enjoy daily King of Fighters All-Star content such as this, you smash that like button and subscribe, and you guys already know what time it is. Cue the intro. And before we go ahead and get into the update itself, just so you guys are aware, for those of you who missed the codes light last night, there are 2 codes floating around right now that will net you a multi-token for the fighters as well as the card banner respectively. And I will have those codes top of the screen, bottom of the screen, middle of the screen, floating around the screen, spinning around the screen. I don't know, they'll be here somewhere. But for those of you who have not redeemed those codes, there you go. Go ahead and put those in and you can get yourself some free multis. So speaking of free multis and free stuff, let's go ahead and kick it off and talk about the login bonus. So the login bonus this time around is going to net us 7k free rubies over the course of the next week of logging in. These are going to be time limited and you will have 12 days to use them. However, keep in mind that with the way that they have this structured with the update, the rerun banner for the boss syndrome characters as well as the cards are going to be ending in 5 days. So that is going to mean that unfortunately we are not going to be able to use all 7k of these free rubies on those banners. So for those of you who are hoping to do that, unfortunately it is not going to math out that way for you. However, that might mean that Netmarble has something up their sleeve as far as another potential update here within the next 12 days. So we are going to have to wait and see on that. They haven't really given us any sort of tips or any sort of hints towards that direction yet, so time will tell. But the 7k free rubies is very nice. We see this all the time with these types of banners. However, this time around it would have been nice if they would have timed it a little bit better, just so that way everybody could have gotten all these in time to use them on this banner for those that have been waiting around for these to rerun. But it is what it is. 7k free rubies is nothing to sneeze at. So that's going to be the login bonus. Let's go ahead and take a look at the carnival now. Alright, you guys, so as you can see, this is going to be the newest in-game carnival event, and we saw the picture of this yesterday over on the official forum and pretty much had been able to assess what we were going to be seeing here with this thing this time around. Now, for those of you who this is your first carnival, basically the way that these things work, at least for this one in particular, you are going to be able to get points towards the mileage and then get whatever corresponding rewards are going to be tied to that number based on whatever you do in order to get memories, whether that's summoning through using your rubies or using tokens or using tickets or even the combine function to combine memories. Whatever it is that you want to do, you can go ahead and get points towards this mileage just for getting memories. You can even go ahead and use the exchange shop in order to pick up memories there in order to go towards this. So like I said, anything that you do to get memories is going to count for this. Now, the biggest thing about this time around for me personally, and this might just be me, but I know a lot of people out there are in the same boat, the biggest thing for me with this is going to be the hammers, because the rest of these items don't really do a whole lot for me. In general, taking a look at the rewards this time around, I'm not that impressed. Honestly, you guys, that final reward being a platinum selector for your cards is nice, but it's not necessarily anything I'm super excited about with this. So basically, if you take a look through here, you'll be able to select any one of these cards, which is nice for players out there that are going to be missing a lot of those. For me personally, this is going to end up being a fodder card for Transcendence, probably going towards that crit boss syndrome option card that I am really hoping that I can get a few of by the end of this event. So in general, you guys, that's pretty much what we're seeing with the carnival. This time around, in my opinion, this is going to be the weakest aspect of this update, but then again, that really isn't saying a whole lot when you consider the fact that this is a really solid update in general, with a few minor gripes here and there, and this being one of them. So with all that being said, you guys, let's go ahead and move over to the in-game packages and see what it is that Netmarble is going to be charging us, as well as what they're going to be giving us this time around if we want to go ahead and give them our hard-earned money. Alright you guys, so let's go ahead and take a look at the in-game packages now when it comes to the 20 million download celebration banner and see if these are going to be worth your hard-earned money. So first up here we're going to take a look at the Dolphin package since we don't have a minnow package whatsoever this time around. So for this Dolphin package here you are going to end up getting 1,000 rubies, you are going to get a multi-token for the fighters, a multi-token for the cards, and then you're going to get some Awakened tier XP capsules, and it is selection boxes, so that's always nice. So for $20 for this package, in my opinion, I would skip this one. I don't like the price for what I'm seeing here. It does seem as though this one's a little bit overpriced by comparison to things we've seen in the past. Now, one big thing that should be noted when it comes to the value proposition for any of these packages right now is going to be the fact, and when we'll talk about this when we get to the banners here after this part, but when it comes to those banners, there is a selected rate up, and the rates on there are actually extremely good by comparison to what we're normally used to. So I suppose that there is an argument to be made here that the value proposition for all these packages is just a little bit higher than it normally would be as a result of that. However, in my opinion, typically you're going to be able to get a multi for the fighters as well as the cards for $10, which we are lacking for this banner this time around. So like I said, we don't have a minnow package rather this time, so very interesting stuff. But with that being said, I don't necessarily think $20 is going to be really worth it. I would probably go ahead and say that if you're going to plan on spending money and you want to keep it as cheap as possible, air quotes again, but if you want to keep it as cheap as possible, in my opinion, you're better off just going for this because the value proposition is just way better for a little over double the price. So as you guys can see, this one here is going to cost you $50. However, as I mentioned, the value proposition for this one is much better, as you are going to end up getting 2,200 rubies, as well as 3 multis for the fighters and 2 multis for the cards, as well as 50 of the Awakened tier XP capsule selection boxes. So in general, like I said, if you guys are planning on spending money and want to keep it as cheap as possible, but you really like these characters, this would be the one that I think would be the better value, at least based on what I'm seeing with this one comparatively speaking to the $20 package. But again, I'm not telling you guys how to spend your money. It's your money. Do what you like with it. I just think that for the value proposition, this is going to be the better value. Now, when it comes to the whale package, as you guys can see, things get stepped up in a big way here. You are going to get quite a few rubies with this one. So it looks like you are going to get, what is that, 4,700 or so rubies, 4,770. Fuzzy head math, I'm sorry guys if failed that, but 4,770, that's what I'm going with, final answer. And then you are also going to get 4 multi-tokens for the fighters, 4 for the cards, and an Element Fest memory mystery box. So for the money, 80 bucks is 80 bucks. That's a lot of money for a package, but if you are planning on whaling out with this banner, this is going to be the package for you. So in general, I do think that this one does have pretty decent value to it. However, pretty interesting to me how when it comes to what they've had here in the past, for instance, we used to have, I believe, we ended up having 8 multis for both the fighters and the cards in the past when it came to these $80 packages, which was way better in my opinion. But hey, it is what it is. That's changed now for a while, so I guess I'm not going to get back into a rant on that thing. I've already done that in the past, but in general, I do think that this is pretty decent. However, for me personally, if it were me, I think that honestly, if I were planning on spending money, I would just try to keep it on the cheap and maybe go with this one. But this one isn't terrible. I just like that middle package a little bit better than the rest of them. So that's going to do it for the in-game packages, you guys. With all that being said, let's go ahead and get to what I'm sure all of you are here for. Let's talk about the 20 million download celebration banners. And just a heads up for those of you who didn't see yesterday's video, we already covered all the buffs in that video, so if you guys are interested in hearing my thoughts on those buffs, then I go more in depth on what the buffs are in that video. I'm just going to give a brief summary of what little I've been able to play around with so far with these characters post-buff in this video, but I'm not going to be spending a lot of time on that as we are going to talk more about that over the coming days. But when it comes to the rate up banner for the rerun for the these characters. As you guys can see, Netmarble has given you guys a massive gift here. You are able to go ahead and pinpoint one character of your choosing with a selected rate up from the pool of characters that are going to be featured here. Now, as you guys can see, I'm picking Ignis for mine because I already have my Chrysalid and my Geese at Awakening level 5, and when it comes to my Zero and my Ignis respectively, they're both at Awakening level 4. So if I could finish one of them right now, for me personally, that would be Ignis. Really, when it comes down to who you're going to pick here, because I know people are going to ask me who they should pick, in my opinion, out of all 4 characters, Ignis is going to be the most important. Just from a utility standpoint, he is going to be the better of all these characters as far as the amount of things he's going to be useful for. But really, when it comes to the rest of these characters, if I had to kind of rank them in order, I'd probably say Ignis, and then Chrysalid, then Zero, and then Geese pulling up the rear there as far as the pool of characters I'm seeing here. You know, when it comes to the buffs here, I'm not going to talk too much about that, like I said, but I will say that a character like Chrysalid saw a massive increase to his overall performance from these buffs, specifically as it relates to his new core buff that is decreasing his cooldowns. So in general, that character has been a character for a long time that's been very useful and very viable, especially for people who need help against Omega Rugal in Guild Raid for Expert and Lunatic respectively. So really, his value is intrinsically tied to that mode, in my opinion, as far as PvE is concerned. But yeah, all these characters definitely got helped in a big way. For me personally, though, Ignis is going to be the king of the mountain when it comes to these. Now, when it comes to the rate up, though, let's go ahead and take a look at something real quick, because I want to point something out, because not only did Netmarble give us a way to pinpoint one of these characters, which we had talked about in yesterday's video, if they were going to combine these banners, that was something that was going to be a bit sus as far as trying to get a specific character that you might need. That was going to be very difficult. However, I had mentioned to wait and see, because Netmarble might end up giving us some sort of help, and as you guys can see, implementation is everything, and this is huge for everybody, because when it comes to the rates here, the rates for this banner right now are exceptional. So this is going to be one of the best times that you could possibly pick these characters up just from a rate standpoint. However, as I'm sure people have pointed out, no, you cannot pick up their stones for awakening these characters anymore, which is something that Netmarble tends to do with any rerun. So basically, there is a loss of value there when it comes to these characters. However, I will always argue that I would rather have the character without the stones than just not have any of it whatsoever, because there's plenty of options out there that you can still use stones for these characters with and still get plenty of usefulness out of them, albeit they are going to not necessarily be as strong if they did have those boss syndrome stones. So always keep that in mind. But in general, I do think that this is a very value-packed banner, especially with the rates currently. So if you're planning on pulling for any of these characters, honestly, with the way things are looking right now, I would say wait for the extra couple of days, get those free login rubies, and then go ahead and go crazy. And then if you guys hadn't already noticed, like I said at the beginning of the video, there are going to be some multi-tokens that you can use here that Netmarble's giving out right now with those codes, so you can go ahead and pick those up as well. So you are going to have plenty of options to potentially get these characters for free. So good luck to all of you guys that are pulling. I hope you get who you're looking for. But as far as the card banner is concerned, this is also going to have a rate up, and you can actually pick 2 cards here from the pool. And there's a lot of cards in this pool, you guys. I'm not going to go back in depth on all these. We've done breakdown videos in the past on all this stuff, so really not anything I need to get into in today's video. For me personally, I am super stoked that this card is being rerun. I did not pick this card up on its initial run. I never had it drop. So this is really what I am pinpointing with this update, because I am planning on getting at least hopefully 2 of these. I will probably go to pity 1 time on this card banner just to ensure that I get 1 of these. But this is the card for me right now that I am super hyped for, because I did not get it like I said originally. I have all the rest of this stuff, as you guys can see, so I'm really not worried about the rest of it. I really just want this option card, so that's really what I'm going for. But when you take a look at the rates here, you guys, as you guys can see, when it comes to the rates for these cards, the rates are also really good. So in general, I am very happy with what I'm seeing with this update full. I'm very happy with everything here. I have no real major complaints when it comes to a lot of this stuff. If I had major complaints, I guess those things would be really that this does not necessarily line up with those login rubies, which is unfortunate, and we only have 5 days with this stuff, or 4 days, or whatever it is, whatever you want to call it at this point. It's 4 days at the making of this video. So in general, that part is a bit of a downside. And I suppose another thing to mention is we didn't get a generic memory on the Carnival, as well as the fact that we don't get the imprint stone option with these characters for pulling them whenever they're rerun. So there are going to be some gripes, but honestly, you guys, I think this is a super solid update. However, there's one other little thing I want to point out. So if you take a look at this graphic, this was posted over on the Facebook, and this is of course the graphic that is going to give you that code for a multi-token for the fighters here. But notice that it says volume 1 on here. So I wanted to point something out to you guys. There is the potential that Netmarble is planning a second one of these 20 million global download celebration banners at some point before the end of the year, potentially. I'm only basing that on what I'm seeing with the volume 1 that is listed here next to the 20 million global download celebration graphic. However, that is something to keep in mind. Now, there are no guarantees. There's no guarantees in this game. There's no guarantees in life except for death and taxes. So keep that in mind always. But you never know what Netmarble has planned, especially with the way that this is a very short duration and that does not sync up with those login rubies. There's probably something else around the corner, whether it is going to be a volume 2 release or whether or not it is going to be a brand new banner. We do not know. So always keep in mind, guys, that you probably want to be a little bit patient with this stuff, especially when it comes to how you spend your rubies. Like I have mentioned a few times in this video, maybe wait until closer to the end of the run for this banner to be using rubies, but I would maybe wait and see what Netmarble has planned. Maybe they'll kind of tip their hand and you'll have a better idea of how to spend at that point. But at the end of the day, that's pretty much what I know about the update, you guys. Like I said, I will be testing these characters post-buff more here over the course of the next couple of days. The only character I've really been able to mess too much with is Chrysalid, and he has been phenomenal, but I've always been a big fan of Chrysalid. You guys know that going back to when he originally released. I was putting out tons of videos with Chrysalid at the time, so you guys know me, I'm a big fan of him. So alright, you guys, with all that being said, I figured that in this video today, since we have these multi-tokens, we'll go ahead and use them. Might as well go ahead and use these in today's video, so that's what we'll go ahead and do. I'm not planning on going too deep here. I'm just going to use the tokens. Whenever I get the full amount of login rubies that I'm able to get for this event, I'll go ahead and pull more, but for now, we'll just go ahead and use the tokens. As I mentioned, the biggest priority of everything is this. I need this option card in my life. I need 2 of them primarily is going to be kind of the goal. So let's go ahead now and see what we get here. When it comes to the fighters, I'm not really all that concerned. As I've mentioned, I have most of these characters awakened or whatever the case may be. Some of them at awakening level 5, some at awakening level 4, so I'm not overly concerned. And yeah, that was a waste of a token, so there's that. So not anything too crazy there, but at least when we use these, I believe I have 2 of these tokens here. Yeah, at least when we use these, we will get credit towards our Carnival, which is always nice. Hopefully, maybe we'll get an Ignis, you never know. I mean, I'm not really lucky when it comes to these free tokens, so generally speaking, it doesn't end well. Yeah, so nothing. It is what it is, right? All right, so let's use the last one here, see if we get anything. But yeah, guys, right now with the rates being such as they are with this banner, I would definitely say that now is a good time to pull. It is unfortunate, like I mentioned, that you aren't going to be able to pick up the stones, but it is what it is. So yeah, we didn't end up getting anything off of any of that stuff, so alright, well, it is what it is, you guys. No big deal. So, like I said, the fighters weren't really a priority. So, anyway, you guys, that is going to do it for the update. You guys can let me know in the comments section how you felt about it. I feel like this is a very solid update in general. Like I said, a couple little minor gripes and nitpicks and a few little things here and there that I'm not as big a fan of and things that I feel like they could have improved on. But you could say that for any update in any game. So, anyway, you guys, let me know your opinions in the comments section down below, and as always, I hope you found it informative. If you did, make sure you smash that like button and subscribe, and until the next one, you all take care. Peace.
Continue.